Hello, my lovely people. Welcome to Spiritual Bloom, where we bloom within our consciousness with your spiritual guide and twin flame coach Neha. In today's episode, we will be talking about the different levels of healing. We will understand that what are the types of healing, like what are the stages that a person goes through during healing. What if I tell you that that healing is not just about feeling better, and healing happens in levels, just like when we were in school. We had to pass first standard, second standard in order to reach third, fourth, and fifth, right? And most people, they quit because they mistake discomfort for failure. They are too comfortable and they think that healing takes a lot of work, so they quit. Because we live in a world that is obsessed with quick fixes. Move on, stay positive, forget about it, or heal already. You think that you're healed enough. But just let me tell you that real healing doesn't happen overnight. It unfolds layer by layer. Emotionally, mentally, physically, and even spiritually. And each level forces you to confront a different version of yourself. A version of yourself which you have never come across over the years. A version of yourself which you never knew existed. That version can be good, and that version can be a vulnerable and a negative one too. But during your healing, always remember, you are not supposed to be judgmental. You should not judge your situation. You should not judge where you are coming from, because this entire process of life is all about healing. Because if you heal, you ascend, and if you don't heal, you remain wherever you are, and you have to go through things, and that going through of things might be harder. So there are few sections that I have divided. Let me call it as different kinds of levels, like level 1, level 2, level 3. Okay, so let me talk about the first level, that is level 1, which is the survival. I'm sorry if I'm sounding a little bit tired. I have been recording 2-3 episodes altogether. My schedule is quite busy, so please don't mind. So let's talk about level 1, which is the survival. The first level of healing doesn't feel like healing at all, which is true. You don't feel like you're healing, because that moment, that time, it feels like survival. You just think about surviving. You think that how will I survive this phase? You think about how will I pass this phase, or how am I going to survive these hard days of my life. And this is the stage where your nervous system is overwhelmed. It is in chaos, because you're exhausted emotionally and maybe physically too. It's not just emotionally, you're exhausted physically, mentally. You're just tired, and you're not trying to thrive. You're trying to make it through the day. You're thinking, how will I survive? How will things go further if I'm in this situation? And at this level, people, they often experience emotional numbness, anxiety, burnout, avoidance, anger, frustration, denial, and sometimes emotional shutdown. They don't talk to people, they stop socializing, they are just inside their room, they don't even talk to their family members. And here's the important part. During such situation, what happens? Why do you react that way? It's because your mind and body are trying to protect you. Sometimes people shame themselves for being stuck here. They feel like, everyone is moving ahead. They're doing something in their life, and I'm just stuck here. What is wrong with me? They start shaming themselves. But survival mode is not weakness. It's what happens when pain exceeds your capacity to process it. Understand that. when you have been in a survival mode for too long, your body, your mind, your nervous system, it gives up. It's like it your whatever they could take, whatever they could bear, they could tolerate, they did it over the years. Now the pain has exceeded your capacity to process it. So the survival mode is not weakness. At this level, healing looks simple. For example, it's not glamorous, it's not aesthetic, but necessary. Why? Because you're surviving. You are in a survival mode. Simple things: getting out of bed, going for a walk, resting, drinking water, taking care of yourself, taking a quick shower, setting boundaries with people, crying. That is also a part of healing. Crying, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And also admitting that you are hurt, admitting that you have been through a lot. That is why this first stage is called the survival stage. The simple things which we never notice: drinking water, sleeping, having a nice 8 hours sleep, 7 hours sleep, going for a walk, taking your pets out for a walk. This is how healing looks like during this stage. Crying, pouring out, being vulnerable, it's okay. Because before transformation, there must be first stabilization. Stabilization means understanding that you are going through a healing journey, you are trying to survive these days, you are coming into acceptance. Because what happens, I was there, when you come into survival mode, when you know that you are healing, right? That time things gets difficult. It gets difficult to accept that you are at that phase of your life which you never imagined or even thought in your dreams that you are going to be stuck one day. But it is happening, and it happens with everybody. Someday or the other, everyone has to go through this phase. It's not just about you or me. So this healing looks very simple, but it takes a lot of strength just to come out of that bed, just to take shower, just to have your proper breakfast. I'm not just talking about skipping your meals. Having proper breakfast at your disciplined time. These are small tidbit things which you can follow during your survival mode in the first stage of healing. Now let's go to level 2. Level 2 is what? Awareness. This is where the fog begins to lift. Since your mind was so much foggy during the first stage because you are surviving, you're fighting that no, I don't require healing, I'm fine. Then you start blaming, why have I become like this? I can't do the basic necessity work or the basic discipline work which I was doing over the years. What is wrong with me? You start blaming yourself. But when you enter the level 2 of awareness, this is where the fog begins to lift. There you don't blame yourself, but you start noticing patterns. You start noticing patterns. For example, you come into realization. Realization can be that why certain relationship is draining you. Why do you keep on self-sabotaging? Why do you fear abandonment? Why success feels unsafe? Why abundance feels unsafe? Why you constantly keep on people pleasing? So these are the patterns that you're going to notice, and you'll be like, oh, I have been doing this over the years, and why was I doing that? For whom? Awareness is extremely powerful. Once you are aware, then only you can move forward. But when awareness is powerful, at the same time, it is painful also. Because ignorance can feel safer than truth. You know, in this stage, you start asking yourself that what inside me needs attention. Because you have become aware, you ask, what inside me needs attention? This is the level where many people, they begin therapy, meditation, shadow work, self-reflection and emotional education. And suddenly you start seeing how childhood experiences, trauma, environment and repeated emotional wounds shaped your identity. But awareness creates a dangerous illusion also. Okay? Awareness is powerful, because it makes you recognize your patterns and come into healing. But at the same time, awareness also creates dangerous illusions. People think that now that I understand the pattern, I should be healed. This is the illusion, and this is wrong. This is not true. Awareness is the doorway. You have just entered and you have just started the journey. It is not the destination. But many people, they mistake and they come into a dangerous illusion thinking that now I have understood the pattern of healing, so I should be healed without doing the work. So don't be stuck in such illusions. When you come into awareness, try to figure out what are the things that needs, attention in your life, in your environment. Now, let's go to level 3. What is level 3? Level 3 is emotional release. Now let me tell you, just like the first level was heavy, survival was heavy, this is going to be messy. The emotional release is going to be messy because suppressed emotions, they don't disappear. They don't disappear. No matter how much you suppress it for years, they don't disappear. They wait. They wait in the body, in your behavior patterns, in relationships, in addictions, and sometimes in silence because you have suppressed it too much. And eventually, healing forces them to the surface. It pushes to the surface so that it can be healed. This is the stage where people, they unexpectedly cry. They feel anger, they bury it for years, they grieve their relationships, they mourn their old identities. Sometimes even joy feels overwhelming because numbness is wearing off. The numbness mask which you have been wearing for so many years, that is going to fade away. And for the first time in a long time, you actually feel. This stage can be terrifying because emotions, they come in waves. One moment happy, one day you feel empowered, the next day you feel broken again. But as I always told you, healing is not linear. It's not linear. Emotional release is your system unclenching. Your soul is exhaling. The danger here is resisting the process. Just like in awareness, the danger was illusion that I have healed. In this part, during the emotional release, the danger is resisting the process. Many people, they return to distractions. They take a U-turn. They go back to toxic relationships. They start overworking. They become workaholic. They go back to substance use. They doom scrolling or emotional avoidance, because feeling deeply can feel unbearable. When you feel too deeply, it feels unbearable. You feel scared. But remember that healing requires emotional honesty. You have to be honest with yourself. It does not require perfection. It requires honesty. Now, the fourth level is rebuilding. This is where the healing becomes intentional. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And begin asking that who do I want to become now? What do I have to learn from this? You stop, being in that victim mentality that why me? Why did this happen to me? And you transform into a person that, no, this has come into my life for some lessons. I need to learn that. And I need to become what the universe is trying to shape me into. At this level, the habits change, your boundaries, they strengthen, self-respect grows, and relationships, they shift. You start protecting your peace, and not everyone will like the healed version of you. Remember that. When you heal, always remember that everyone is not liking the healed version of you, because healing disrupts old dynamics. Some people benefited from your lack of boundaries. They were using you. Others only love the version of you that abandoned yourself to keep them comfortable because you are people pleasing. So rebuilding often comes with loss, but it also comes with clarity. You recognize who was using you, who were your true friends, who are your true family members. You get clarity. And this is where the confidence starts emerging, and it's not fake confidence, it is a grounded confidence because you are grounded now. The kind that you built from surviving yourself. This confidence is built from surviving. You survived the storm, and it's not a fake confidence. That's why you don't fear, you know, creating boundaries with people. Level 5. Now what is level 5? Level 5 is inner peace. Okay, this level is extremely quiet, not because life becomes perfect, not because you have excelled in your career, not because you have found your dream relationship, because you stop fighting yourself internally. You stop asking questions which were irrelevant. You stop fighting with your identity. You no longer need constant validation from people. You stop chasing chaos. You stop chasing environment or people which created chaos in your life. And you become more emotionally regulated. But during this phase, during the inner peace phase, the triggers, they still happen. I'm not saying that you will not be triggered. The trigger will still happen. The pain will still revisit you. But it no longer controls your identity. It no longer controls your identity. You learn something powerful. Healing isn't becoming emotionless. It is becoming emotionally free. Previously, when you used to think that someone did wrong to me, you always had revenge in your heart. Like, okay, this person did this to me, they should be getting it back, in a more worst way. They should suffer. But when you reach here, when you are emotionally free, you stop needing revenge. You stop needing everyone to understand you, and you stop proving your worth to people. And for the first time, peace feels safer than chaos. Now let's move to level 6. What is level 6? After peace comes purpose. Purpose is the final level of healing. And let me tell you, during the peace, inner peace, it also comes when you surrender. When you surrender your purpose, when you surrender your life, when you surrender your situations to the universe, to the divine. You no longer control your situations, you no longer control your life. You just surrender it to the higher beings. So the final level of healing is purpose. It is transformation through contribution. Your pain begins turning into wisdom, and your story becomes medicine for others. When you find a purpose, when you have gained inner peace and clarity, you start helping people, and your story becomes medicine for others. You realize that your wounds taught you compassion. Your struggles built resilience, and your healing created depth. And suddenly, you are not just surviving life anymore. You are creating meaning from it by helping people. This doesn't mean that you have become perfect, okay? It means that your suffering no longer owns you. Instead, that suffering, you have transmuted the energy of suffering into your purpose. You're no longer in that victim mentality. You are at peace. And you want to help people. You have become more compassionate. So, the 6 stages of healing that I've discussed is something that we all have to go through. Let it be if you're in a spiritual journey, let it be you're in a twin flame journey, any kind of spiritual journey will always make you go through these stages. But healing never truly ends. Here's the truth most people, they never hear. Healing is not a straight line. You may revisit your old pain, old fears, old emotion. That does not mean you failed. Sometimes healing happens in spirals. You return to the same lesson, but from a higher level of awareness. And every time you choose yourself, every time you face truth instead of escaping it, every time you stay present through discomfort and accept that discomfort, you evolve. Healing is not about becoming someone new. Remember that. Healing is not about becoming someone new. It is about returning to who you were before the world convinced you to abandon yourself. Okay? So, you were already a good person. You already knew what you were. But the societal norms, the people, the environment convinced you to abandon yourself. So, this was the episode. I hope you like this episode on levels of healing. If you really like this episode, please like, share, subscribe, and support my channel. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. For any kind of personal guidance, you can WhatsApp or email me. My contact details have been given in the description box. And I provide a 10 to 15 minutes demo session before you book any kind of session. If you're interested, you can contact me. Thank you for listening. I'll see you again in another episode.